A lot of tanks during the early stages of the Cold War had revolutionary features, some being the Leopard 1 or the M48 and M60. But one that gets talked about a lot more than the others is none other than the T-55. The T-55 is a Soviet main battle tank that was introduced in the late 50s. It evolved from the earlier T-54, which had already proven to be a highly capable design. The T-55 improved on the platform by enhancing its protection, firepower systems, and survivability, especially in the context of a nuclear warfare, a major concern during the Cold War. The tank was developed by the Soviet Union at the height of the tensions between the East and the West. Production began in 1958, and over the next few decades, it became one of the most mass-produced tanks in history. Estimates suggest that between 80,000 and 100,000 T-54 and T-55 tanks were built combined. This massive production made the T-55 a symbol of Soviet military power and allowed it to spread across dozens of countries. Let's talk about its design. The T-55 was operated by a crew of 4, a commander, gunner, loader, and driver. It's armed with a 100mm D-10 rifled gun capable of firing armor-piercing and high-explosive shells. For its time, this gun was highly effective against most Western tanks. The tank also carried a coaxial machine gun and an anti-aircraft machine gun mounted on top of the turret. In terms of protection, the T-55 featured well-sloped steel armor which increases effective thickness and helped deflect incoming rounds. One of its most important innovations was improved MBC protection, meaning protection against nuclear, biological, and chemical threats. It had a basic overpressure system to prevent radioactive contamination from entering the crew compartment, reflecting Cold War fears of nuclear battlefields. The T-55 was powered by a V12 diesel engine producing about 580 horsepower. This allowed it to reach speeds of roughly 50 kilometers per hour on roads. It was not the fastest tank of its era, but it was reliable, relatively simple to maintain, and mechanically rugged, qualities that made it ideal for mass production and export. And export it did. The T-55 became a backbone of armored forces in many Warsaw-pact countries and was also supplied to allies in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. It was combat in numerous conflicts, including the Vietnam War, the Arab-Israeli Wars, the Iran-Iraq War, and conflicts in Africa and the Balkans. Its widespread use means it has fought in more wars than almost any other tank design. One of the reasons for its longevity was its adaptability. Over the decades, many countries upgraded their T-55 fleets with improved fire control systems, laser rangefinders, reactive armor, and even more powerful engines. Some versions were modernized to remain competitive against more advanced Western tanks. In fact, some T-55 variants are still in service today in certain parts of the world. However, despite its strengths, the T-55 also has limitations. Compared to newer main battle tanks like the American M1 Abrams or the Leopard 2A4, 2A5, 2A6, all of those variants, the T-55 lacks advanced composite armor, modern fire control systems, and high-velocity smoothbore guns. By the late 20th century, it was largely outclassed in direct confrontation with more modern designs. Still, the importance of the T-55 cannot be overstated. Its massive production numbers, global distribution, and decades of combat service made it one of the most influential armored vehicles ever built. Even today, its legacy continues both in military museums and, in some cases, on modern battlefields. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.